So this week we're off to Kenya, and I'm going to tell you why our Kenya is better than everybody else's Kenya. It's mainly because of Brian. So as I said, we're going to go and visit our friend Brian in Kiriga. Now Kiriga is an estate. Estate coffees in Kenya used to be the majority of the coffee that came out. But because a lot of those estate farms, which lots of land, have been turned into gated communities, housing estates, warehousing. They've slowly been disappearing, where now they're around about 25% of the production comes from estates, where it used to be the majority of the production came from there. Brian and his family are trying their hardest to hang on to the farm and to make it profitable. So they don't have to sell it. They're very proud that their father in the 60s used to work on that farm as a farm manager and picker, and then got to the point where he was able to buy the farm. And if you want to go and kind of see some of that stuff, go look at the in my mug I did while I was in Kenya with Brian. We'll put a link on the screen here. But the family did really good work at trying to find direct routes to market. So back in 2011, I bought this coffee, but I bought it from the Kenya Coffee Auction. The Kenya Coffee Auctions are something that happens where samples get sent out to exporters who will then cup hundreds and hundreds of coffees. And then they'll go to the auction and sit in these little wooden booths with a big screen at the front like a lecture theatre and press a button if they want to buy it. And eventually, somebody will end up buying that coffee. We bought it through an importer that had gone through that process. And then about 3-4 years later, Brian contacted me via email and said, I saw you bought my coffee once and you said you liked it. Do you want to buy it again? So we picked that up and did buy it again. Now, there are pluses and negatives for that coffee auction. One thing that happens in Kenya is prices tend to be much, much higher than you would find anywhere else because of that regulation, because you can't go to a farmer and undercut or kind of pay lower prices. Up until recently, you couldn't do that. It's meant that the price has consistently been held high in Kenya. Since the last 5-10 years, you can now do direct contracts. So what we have with Brian is a direct contract. It doesn't have to go through the auction anymore. We can agree a price with him, and then we don't just kind of take the coffee and Brian benefits because he gets a set price. He knows exactly what he's going to get. Anybody who's sold something on eBay knows that sometimes you really win and then sometimes you really lose. Well, that's no different in those coffee auctions. Whereas if you know you're going to get a set price every time, it allows you to plan, it allows you to invest in the farm, it allows you to budget, but also gives you comfort that, year on year you're going to find somewhere for that coffee to go to. The relationship with Brian has grown and grown over the years. And when you're watching this, I will actually be in Kenya and spending a couple of days with Brian. So keep an eye on our Instagram and Twitter and all the other social media things where you'll see lots of updates of that coming through. So that's pretty much Kenya Coffee Auctions and Brian's coffee. So why don't we go and have a wonderful, wonderful fact from Mr. Roland Gloom. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? You get it? I found Roland. Come with me. Be careful not to startle him and always approach him from the front, otherwise he can get quite aggressive. Hello, Roland. Do you have a daft fact for us?
Hello, Steve. Speaking of quite aggressive, did you know that on Kiriga they have a small lake where there are hippos?
Hippotastic. Time. Now, as a coffee roaster, you always love Kenyans. Like, Kenyans are the time of year you get very excited. But before we do that, we should do the competition that you get no prize for. It is the competition without reward, apart from praise and love and respect. And it comes from Upikizek. Thank you for having the most difficult name to read. And it was an Escondida in my mug photo, and in my mug bags, virtually guaranteed to get on here. You take a picture, if you take a picture of you with the in my mug bag, like that's nailed on, you would be in the next ones. So yes, thank you, Upikizek. I can wait no longer. I need to drink Kenyan. So there's two typical profiles of washed Kenyans. The first profile is very blackcurranty, very fruity. The other one, a little bit more red winey and a little bit more like kind of pushing out to those flavours. So let's see what we have here. Oh, that is so good. That is the very typical blackcurrant. It is all blackcurrant on the front end. Kind of turns into a little bit like an orange juice. It is all acidity. And there's a tiny little, I haven't done a shoulder for a while, a little bit of a shoulder of strawberry on the finish, but the blackcurrant is very much the definite kind of like definitive flavour descriptor that's in there. What do you think? Let me know. Comment wherever you can comment, Twitter or Instagram, or put something on our Facebook page. You can watch In My Mugs on Facebook. You can watch them everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, the website, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts from. Apparently that's a cool thing to say now. Thank you for joining me. It is wonderful to have you as part of our In My Mug journey. I hope to see you on the next one, but until then, do remember, life is too short for bad coffee.